On today's episode of the Virginia Investor Podcast, we have a U.S. Army veteran of 25 years, the founder of OneDream Realty Group, America's Dream LLC, and co-founder of Regal Title, and owner of Grid Richmond and Grid Virginia Beach. We have Dustin Olverson here sharing his experience, wisdom, knowledge, and his expertise with us. He's done all kinds of flipping houses and building a rental portfolio. He's built a really strong network, and he values leadership, which is really important to me. And I really look forward to jumping into this. Dustin, thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. You did great on the intro.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I've been thinking about it for hours. As we do with most of our guests, I like getting to know you on a personal level and your background, not just jumping straight into real estate, but I want to know what makes you you. Where did you grow up? What was childhood like?
So childhood, New York City. I actually grew up in Manhattan in a place called Tribeca, and I was there until about 17 years old before I went to the Army. And it was the city life. I was a kid that grew up in the concrete jungle, like this, hard concrete, public schools, normal neighborhoods, nothing special. Now the neighborhood became special, right? Tribeca is a well-known neighborhood now, but back then it was just a group of kids and, just enjoying growing up in New York.
Were you big into academics or sports or both?
So I was good. I was good at running. Like I was always a fast runner, but I actually dropped out of high school. I was in special education for the majority of my elementary school. I don't think I tested out of that into maybe high school.
Interesting. Was
not able to transition well because you spend all your childhood in special education. Then they put you in mainstream ed. It just didn't work, so I felt all the pressures. So I actually ended up getting my GED, got my wife now, our girlfriend back then, pregnant at a very young age. She was like 16, maybe 15. I was like 16, 17. So I actually didn't.
Life came at you fast.
Yeah. Well, I came at life fast. Right. I tried, I came at life fast.
That's a good way to look at it. What was the learning disability, if you will? Like, what was holding you back from mainstream education at the time?
Labels. The education system was not the best. I did get diagnosed with a few other things with some learning disabilities. But I would say more, you're in a class with 50 kids and there's one teacher.
Right.
And if one person has maybe ADHD or something like that, in the 80s, they didn't know how to. So it was more of a behavior thing. Now that I look at it, I high temper, didn't know how to express myself, low emotional intelligence, and just very misunderstood. I learned differently as well.
Right.
And, back then special ed was, hey, we don't know how to handle you.
Yep.
And you're going into this class.
Right.
So it's a class of maybe 8 or 9. So, and 2 teachers. So they could give you that attention that you need.
What was that like going through that in school? Like, were you eager to show up to school each day? I mean, I know most kids aren't, generally speaking, but like, would you categorize that as a good experience or a bad experience?
As a building experience, because you are made different in the negative way, because everybody knew you were special ed. You're in the same classroom sometimes with somebody has a hearing impairment, in a wheelchair, and a walking disability, a learning disability, and somebody that's just not able to control themselves. So you're in a group of just different people. So you're looked at different. So you feel less. So you're in a social setting at a young age, and people basically saying you're special, but not in the good way.
Right.
So now that's going to decrease your confidence, and you're wanting to be part of things because you think you're different.
Right. Looking back now after your continued success and stuff like that you're accomplishing now, do you think those years in special ed and that challenge that you had to go through as a child, do you think that gave you any strengths that you get to call back on now, or any different perspectives that dealing with different people or all kinds of different people or dealing with challenges and stuff, how did that make you stronger in any way looking back?
What it does is build a path for you to look back of who you are and where you are now. And then what it does is take the power away from everybody that told you you're not anything, that you're dumb, you're stupid, you can't achieve, because you hear all those things differently, but that's basically what they're saying. And I didn't really touch success to the United States Army.
Yeah.
So I failed everything. I got past the GED. I get that. But you still count that as a failure, even though you walk across a little stage, but you didn't do what everybody else did. Right. You had to go another route. Right. You didn't go through the normal route. So I really didn't start seeing success in what I could do. And actually, somebody actually checked my IQ and other things because I did other things in the military, which required, they look at you a little bit differently. Right. And I didn't realize until I actually probably 21, 22, till I finally took power over myself.
That's incredible, man. That's awesome. Did you get your GED like soon after you dropped out, or did it take years to kind of go back and do that?
So it was probably 16-ish. And, I was, in a lot of trouble because now you're acting out, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not doing good in school.
Right.
You're not doing good with the police, doesn't matter. They're going to pull you over, walk you over, That's just how New York was back then. So, my grandparents were like, hey, you got to do something. Mm-hmm. You're at the teetering of, going to jail forever and in that life, or getting out of here and doing something for yourself. So they actually sent me away to a military school. Got it. That with the New York National Guard, that academy that focused on a military background and the GED, so you can enter the military at the end of graduation. Got it. So I actually went away, did that in Peekskill, New York, in a small camp called Camp Smith, and I spent about 6 months there. You get rank, you wear a uniform, you do all that. And I passed the GED. And of course, as you finish the GED, on the other doors, there's some recruiters waiting for you.
Of course. Yeah.
So I didn't have to think about it. Right. I couldn't make a bad decision as long as I just did the thing.
Right. A couple other questions, because this really will shape, before we get out of your childhood, your parents. Mm-hmm. How supportive were your parents when you were going through all this in school and things like that? Did they have your back through and through? Because they're suggesting to go to this military school, just from what you've shared to me, is a great suggestion. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if there's more to that. Did they have your back growing up and going through all this?
Yeah, so I don't know who my father is. Okay. Never met him. I was raised by a single mom. She was actually a New York City police officer for quite a bit of while through my childhood. And, she's running the shifts and running the streets of New York, and a lot of the streets raise you. Now, I do have a great family. I have great grandparents. They were great men that were my fathers. Right. Yeah. So I had my grandfathers that showed me what example of what being a man is. And but I also had the street guys that are showing me what, and so so you mix, and they want good for you too, but they didn't have a great path. Right. So, I got raised the best I could. Everybody stood by me. It's hard to believe in a young kid that just doesn't conform. Right. And I don't think they didn't believe in me, but they were definitely worried about the path that they saw me walking. Right. Yeah.
And you said you got your girlfriend pregnant, now wife?
Yeah.
You said? Okay.
Yeah.
So at age 15, 16-ish, what did that, like when you got that news, what did you think was ahead of you in life? This was before the military school?
Yes.
And all right. And then what were you like talking about with your family and your girlfriend at the time? Like, what did life look like for you when you got that news?
Yeah, so I got her pregnant before I went to school. I found out why I was in school. She calls me, landline type thing, writing letters back then, no cell phones, all that stuff. And I felt a level, it wasn't fear, it wasn't scared, it wasn't resentment, it wasn't anger. It was, I'm going to do right by her and the child. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to not be in his life. I'm not going to leave her with a burden that we both created. And I saw what that did. And I saw what young men or my friends were getting girls pregnant and taking off and leaving them, and the results to that. And then the challenges my mother went through without having that support, never getting a child support check or support or showing up to help me be right and see right. So no, I felt a deep sense of do right by her and by him. And we got married at 17 and 18. And we've been married for 33 years or something like that right now.
That's incredible.
And yeah, no, I took responsibility. And when I think about it now, I had a lot of losses, and that was one of my first wins. You know, to win, there's a cost every single day. Success. Every day you have to pay the price to win. And that price changes every day. It goes up and down depending on how much you want to win. It costs.
So true. Yep.
And that was one of my biggest wins. And it wasn't very expensive. Emotionally, responsibility, taking ownership, looking at yourself as a mirror at 17 years old and saying you ain't shit and you need to be better. And you need to do better and take this seriously.
Did anyone plant that seed in your head? And the reason I ask is because you said it yourself that many people would not do that. And you look at, like, you didn't have a father growing up. You had father figures, but you didn't have a father growing up. You're seeing your buddies that getting women pregnant and they're kind of bailing out on that relationship. But you're the one who decided, hey, I'm going to hang in here. I'm going to support her. We're going to get married. I'm going to raise this kid, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure, I'm there for the kid and for her. Did someone talk to you about that? Did someone plant that in you, or is that just like instilled in you that you knew you were going to do that and that's the way it was going to be?
Yeah, you could copy a playbook and you could copy what somebody does on a court or in real estate or with a business. I could copy peak property management, but you can't copy the heart. Right? The heart and intestinal fortitude that it took for you to build this business ground up. I can't copy that.
Right.
And my heart told me. Actually, nobody pulled me to the side. I didn't have somebody put me in a corner and say, you need to do this. It was a gut feeling as a young boy going into manhood that this is the right thing to do.
Right. It's
okay to be scared, but it doesn't mean you don't do the thing. So, I was scared, but I still did the thing.
That's awesome. So you're in military school. You have all this going on. Did you get married? You got married before you went to the school, or during, or shortly
right after?
Okay. So you had met the recruiters. Were you signed? Did you know you were going into the military, like for sure at this point? And any reason why you chose the Army? Just the best, most squared away recruiters that you talked, or the first recruiter you talked to, or what?
So, no, I mean, G.I. Joe, like we were programmed pretty early, I was born in 76, 80s, a lot of war movies, a lot of things going on. A lot of the cadre were Army. We did have some mix going on. We had like a prior Marine. We had somebody I want to say was in the Air Force, an Army, National Guard, Reserves. But, I was definitely influenced. And, one guy was a Vietnam vet. And, his Green Beret, Vietnam vet. And imagine having that guy, teaching you and pouring into you. And so you just want to emulate that success because that's your first time seeing, true warriors like actually, doing a thing. And so I chose Army.
That's awesome. So did you have any inclination that you would be in for 25 years?
I kind of knew pretty early, believe it or not. I wasn't the soldier that complained about being a soldier. I wasn't the soldier that complained about physical fitness. I wasn't the person to show up late. I never got an Article 15 ever in 26 years. And so I didn't have identity. I needed a new identity, and I adopted being a soldier.
Right.
And I had one instance maybe at year 10 where I was fatigued. I was a little tired, and I asked for help, and I prayed a lot, And I told my wife I was praying a lot. And I was like, I need a sign because I'm tired.
Right.
And she got pregnant again. And I was like, oh, I got my sign. We're good.
That's awesome. So what year did you go into the military?
94.
94. Okay. Yeah. What was going through your head around? Okay. Let me, before I go there, you joined the military in 94. I assume you're starting to see what leadership and structure and organization, and people are starting to believe in you and understand that you are intelligent, and you're smart, and you can do things, and you can be a part of the team and stuff like that. Is that sort of the feeling that you're starting to get? Are there any like breakthrough moments that you're like, all right, I fit like this, these are, you know, I'm worthy of this, or something, you know, bigger than...
I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast or out in public, but no, they treat me like shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a lot of guys are racist. You know, they discriminated. A lot of laws and rules that are here today did not exist. My drill sergeant was Vietnam vet, still active duty. My sergeant majors and stuff, yeah, I think they were Korean War vet guys. Like, yeah. I might not look that old, but, you know, if I joined in 94 and you could do 30 years in the military... Like, I had guys still serving. They were in 64, 74, 84. So, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of it still left, but it was a lot of it. And, yeah, no, I got held back a little bit. I got treated bad. I had to work twice as hard. I had to show up twice as often. Every somebody's putting in 100, I had to put in 110. Because a lot of labels existed. Mm-hmm. And that label, I already knew what that was from special ed. Right. So, no, I was labeled because of my color and my skin and the unit you're in. That's how it was back then, you know?
So what drove you to stay in the Army?
I didn't have anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I had to take care of them. Right? You know, I don't have an education. I don't have a trade. I don't have a skill. I don't have anything to go back on, but I got paid twice a month. They took care of my housing. I was able to put food on the table so they could treat me like shit. Mm-hmm. But I'm taking care of them.
Yeah.
So they couldn't stop me. My heart was there.
Did anything change in your mindset about your service when 9/11 happened?
So by the time 9/11 happened, I've already deployed a few times. I was already a non-commissioned officer. I was already a leader. The military has changed a lot as well. So the way people treated me in the beginning did not give me a different feeling about my country or the Army. I knew that if you read the rules and read the regulations, the way they're treating me has nothing to do with the Army, the way they wanted them to treat me. So I never held that against service or our country. And a lot of those guys got weeded out as we became more and more and more of a professional force. Mm-hmm. And 9/11, I actually was coming home from school from the first attack. So something I didn't say is I actually grew up. Tribeca is about 3 to 4 blocks from the World Trade Center. So every morning, I grew up every single day to about age 17. So I went to that school. I saw those Twin Towers. I was deeply connected. When you're young in New York, and you can't find your way, if you could find the towers, either Empire or the World Trades, you know exactly where you are. Wow. And how to navigate. So those are our points of navigations when we're young. You don't have a phone and a GPS, and you're not walking around with a map. Yeah. You're asking for trouble. So I actually was I witnessed the first attack on 9/11. The second attack, my mom was moved out because of all the dust from the fallout swept through the apartment. So they actually moved a lot of people out of the apartments. The government actually gave money to relocate, and she actually took the money, relocated to Cincinnati, Ohio. Mm. So on the second one, the first one I was too young, and we didn't do much. I think we dropped a few bombs. You know, FBI got involved. We probably dropped a few bombs. On the second one, I was able to defend. I could pay them back. You know, so now I was mad.
And you're talking about When you say the first one, you're talking, it was in 93, right? That's what you're referring to?
No, it was 96.
96? Okay.
No, you're right. Sorry, 93. Yeah.
93.
Maybe 92, 93.
Was it like a bomb? There was a bomb,
It was a
right?
bomb, a car bomb
That's right.
in the garage. So they drove it down and they blew it. I don't know. I guess they thought that was going to bring the building down,
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So when you're referring to the first one, you're referring to, I believe it's 93 where there was a car bomb. And then the second one, you're in the military. And that is when you said you have the ability to fight back.
Yeah, I was mad. I wasn't. I tell everybody it's very similar to a police officer or a firefighter. I can't imagine a police officer doesn't want to turn on the sirens to stop the person that's driving reckless or they want them. I can't imagine a fire truck pull up to a fire and there's a burning house and it's somebody's home and they don't want to charge and put out the fire. Mm-hmm. As a soldier, at no time did I not want to engage and deploy in the name of our country. Yeah. Whether I was coming back or I didn't.
Right.
It's the same. Like, I mean, why would you? Now you shouldn't do the thing if you ain't that thing.
I mean, that's what you've trained for. I mean, depending on your MOS, but regardless, either support or in the fight, like that's what you've trained for, right? Yeah. And so, what did your military career? This is a loaded question, especially with the tenure that you served. What did your military career look like after 9/11?
After 9/11, I was actually, so the unit, I kind of, again, but it just wasn't my turn. So the unit I was in, I tried out for a different unit, which was Northern Welfare Training Center. So I tried out for this unit, and I got accepted. The unit I left going then gets orders to deploy. No. And so, I did fill away, and there's no backsies. It's like, right. So they get to go. I don't get to go. Right. So I definitely missed out. But the training I received from that unit I went to prepared me for everything else and every other deployment after that.
What areas were you deployed to?
So I did Bosnia. I was over there. I spent some time because of Bosnia. I spent some time in Croatia, Serbia, and former Yugoslavia. That time I got extended. I think I did almost a year over there. I think I did a year over there. We were supposed to do 6, 9. So the whole S4, I4, a lot of what's going on over there now in Ukraine, we were in a lot of those areas back then. Mm-hmm. So that was like my first big experience. And, I got to support ELD. I even got to do a mission with SF, not secure, but help. Their power went out, their power grid. So they came and got me, and me and another guy, we got to go out there and support them. Got to do ELD and remove ordnance off the grounds. People didn't get hurt. And then we supported a light cavalry, 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment for that whole year, which was pretty cool. Great leadership, strong men, and we did the thing, and so did they. Not a lot of combat, not a lot of violence. Few people got hurt. Did everybody come back? No. But not like the Iraq, Afghanistan, and other stuff. So I did also do Iraq. I also did do Afghanistan. I also was deployed to Hurricane Katrina, ended up doing Rita as well because I was there for Katrina. Mm-hmm. And that's my deployments.
It's incredible. Mm-hmm. How did the decision come to get out? Because you have a growing family at this point. Like you've been on these deployments, which is not easy. I mean, your whole story is just incredible. Like to get married that young and have a kid that young, and then go into the military, and then go into all these deployments and do whatever the military tells you to do during this time, and then still have your wife and kids, during this time. Did that play a factor in finally getting out at 25 years, or were you like, hey, look, it's been here long enough? Like, what was your decision to get out?
The Army was changing again, and the thing is you have to be able to change with it. Technology, leadership, rules, different presidencies. And, I was tired of making those changes a little bit. That was part of it. But also, I kind of outgrew it. Yeah. You kind of start to outgrow it. You get tired of seeing some of your battle buddies not come back. You get tired of seeing your soldiers die. You get tired of sometimes it's babysitting. It's a lot of things that start to pile up. And, the older guys, when you're younger, they just tell you're going to know. And it's a true thing. Like, you'll know.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, plan for it. It's like you wake up one day and like, I'm done.
Yeah. What was your game plan getting out? Like, did you already have a set, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I have a plan. I'm financially like set. I've been working towards this for years. Or were you like, hey, I know now I need to start thinking about it? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, there's no financial set. Like, money is usually not our motivator because we don't make much at all. Like, you can find our E grade or O grade and see how much we make. It's not a much. So, the money, the stability is usually more important because we're so used to the stability. And a lot of times that's why we got in, for the stability. So, it wasn't the money. It wasn't anything like that. It was time. It was a transition in my life. And I was scared because I didn't know who the 17-year-old that signed up. Last time I seen civilian Dustin was 26 years ago. And I'm a different person. I didn't even know who that person was. So I was actually kind of down because I didn't know who I was for the first time without a uniform and who I was going to be.
Right.
Then I was like, I get to recreate myself. I get to be who I want to be. And that's one of the most powerful things about changing it and coming out of a military environment is you have the opportunity now to reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. And I read a book, and it was about real estate. It was written by Gary Keller, and that inspired me. And I felt that was something I could do. And that's where I started headed to.
Do you remember the title of the book?
Millionaire Real Estate Agent Next Door, something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just in case anyone who listens to it is like, all right, let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go read that.
As soon as they hear that, they usually put it
Yeah,
together.
we can Google it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So that opened your world up to real estate. Did you have any like contacts in the real estate world or anything? And now, so you've read this book. What's your next step from there? Are you out of the military when you read this book, or are you kind of reading it in preparation to get out?
Yeah, I read it while I was in, and I had an opportunity to do a career skills program, which is a bridge program from active duty into a corporate or trade environment. So I took that, applied for that in a career skills program. So I was actually active duty as a real estate agent.
Awesome.
With that brokerage. And I spent the 6 months learning with a great team, the Redux Group, and the owner, Chris Craddock, was also like the leader. Great agent, mega agent, does really well, still friends and partners today, actually. Mm-hmm. And so I spent 6 months of just intensive opportunity. And I got to learn more in that 6 months. I was already running a team, managing 2 offices, 19 agents, doing 100 transactions. And I was probably at year 1 as a real estate agent.
What got you that opportunity?
Hard work. I didn't go on vacation. I went to open houses Saturdays and Sundays. I trained a team. And it's hard training a team, and they know more than you, and they've been an agent longer than you. But I've been a leader longer than they're still not leaders. Like, they have not led in the capacity I have. So you'd leverage my leadership to influence and provide support and value to that team, right? So, I just dialed in. I showed up. I was a recruiter. I did have a stint as a recruiter for 3 years in the Army. So sales, I had sales down. Right. I knew how to talk. I knew how to close already. So I was able to, I still did 20 deals myself my first year as well.
Awesome.
In real estate. So I just did it. Like, I did real estate and nothing else. I loved and bred it. I didn't have multiple things. I did one thing. I didn't try to do too many things. Mm-hmm. And that's what I focused on.
What brought you to Richmond? How'd you end up here?
So Richmond, Fort Lee is where I retired off of.
Oh, okay.
So coming out of Hawaii, and when we were younger, when you're that young, everything you talk about with your wife at age 17, 18, and if you're still together 30-something years later, we've discussed probably at age maybe 23, we were interested in finishing in Virginia.
Interesting. Why is that?
I don't know. It was just, what we saw, we read, the seasons, the location, It was a little bit different. That's 20 years ago. And we talked about Virginia and ending our career there. Wow. We always wanted to go to Hawaii. We always wanted to go to Alaska. Like a lot of what we discussed, we actually achieved. And our end state is actually Florida. And that's kind of starting to bleep on the radar a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, it was just fate. Yeah. Like we ended up Fort Lee, and I retired out of Fort Lee. We're in Virginia. Hey, like
that's awesome.
It lined up. Why would we leave?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. Like,
and Richmond has become a great city. I mean, Central Virginia has grown so much just in the past 10 years by way of like being a cool place. Like not just all this economics and stuff, which has done really well, but just being a good place with good people. That's pretty cool how it worked out.
Yeah, and it's not too far from New York. Right?
Yeah,
it's still not.
Yeah, it's manageable, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Florida.
Yeah.
So
whenever it's right in the middle.
Yeah. So you're in Richmond. You've jumped into the Richmond area, right? And you've jumped into real estate pretty heavily. You've leveraged your leadership skills to get and hard work, et cetera. Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned leadership. To you, for those who may be trying to build or work on leadership traits, what do you think are some of the most important leadership traits? Like what did you specifically bring to the table as a leader? How do you view leadership, and how did that help you?
So I only know leadership because of the United States Army, and the people that have taught me to lead are the hardest, bravest, and strongest men that our country has to offer. Coming into the civilian sector and looking at what they, I guess, picture of what leadership is versus what we do. Servant leadership. You don't lead others necessarily. It's servitude. A leader serves the group. Mm-hmm. You provide value, and you have the heaviest load and sacrifice by giving your time, giving your energy, your emotional capacity, genuine, authentic care and concern for others, consideration for others. And it is never about you. So a servant leader is someone that takes care of others, and the led choose you. You don't choose them.
Right.
And in this real estate leadership world, I don't see a lot of them doing that. I think they look as a leader as a boss, and a boss tells people what to do, and this is my space, this is my house, this is my. You hear a lot of me, my. How much money am I going to make? You wasted money because you didn't call the lead. You're not providing value to the team because you're not closing 2 deals. It's a grab, a take, and leadership's a heavy give. It's a hard burden,
right?
And challenging because you have to work on yourself harder than. Right. Just working on others. Yeah,
if someone's only closing 2 deals, I'm not going to them saying, why are you only closing? I'm going to say, how can I support you to close more deals? What am I not doing right to give you the information or the tools or the resources that you need to be successful? Because I want you to win, right? And if you don't win, it's on me as a leader because I'm not giving you what you need, right? In some capacity, whether it's training, it's knowledge, it's experience, it's empowering you to make decisions, it's doing all these different things. But that's awesome. I mean, we think about leadership very similarly, which in leadership means a lot to me. I'm still working on it every day, but I learned probably for 10 years under a Navy SEAL. Yeah. And he taught me almost everything I know about leadership. I say a Navy SEAL. I was closely attached to a Navy SEAL, but I was working with other special operations guys from various units doing nonprofit events and different tasks and I guess quote unquote like missions, like not in the military. I was not in the military, I didn't serve, but I tried, but couldn't get in for medical reasons. But I spent probably 10 years with special operations groups and did some really hard things and a lot of suffering with them. But in that suffering and in those tasks, I learned leadership and how they communicated and how they worked together and what teamwork looked like at one of the most elite levels in the world, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's awesome with your experience in the Army, how you talk about leadership is exactly what I saw every day for those 10 years of working very closely with them. And that is when I started a property management company, I didn't know anything about property management. And so I had to bring people on and have the humility to learn from them and empower them to make decisions and then create a network of processes and systems to help everyone work together and bring this culture into this industry, into our company. And so they came from all these different companies and things like that with this experience and knowledge that I didn't have. But I had what it took to run a team and to communicate, and what I thought, tried my hardest to be a good leader and things like that. And we've done pretty well. So I like to focus on the leadership, the teamwork, the communication, and they really understand those property management skills and expertise in that world.
Most businesses do well. What I see out here is because of leadership. If a business grew fast, did fast, and doing well, they mostly have some good leadership.
Yeah, and of course the leader would say it's because they built a strong team,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you got deep into real estate sales, but you didn't just go straight into, okay, I'm just going to be an agent, right? Or a leader of agents. It's interesting. One reason your story, it's already very interesting, but another reason it gets more interesting is you got into investing. I mean, you went, maybe that has to do with the book that you read, and maybe that was the original intent, is like not just to be an agent and to go into investing, but you jumped into investing and you did very well very quickly. I know it was not easy. It might look easy if you just jumped in and had that success. What did that look like? Like, walk me through maybe learning more about investing in the real world, just outside of a book, and what your first deal, certainly not going to touch all of your hundreds of deals, but like, what did that first deal and that kind of emotion and knowledge, how did you take action on that first deal?
Yeah, and I know it's going to sound weird, is that I actually didn't want to be an investor.
Interesting.
Yeah, I have no interest in flips. I didn't want to do any of it. I really was like, hey, the shiny object for me was owning a brokerage, owning a team, having agents. So I did that for about 2 years, and my talents allowed me to find deals, right? Talking to people, helping people, just being compassionate and giving grace. There, you just find a lot of off-market stuff, and people keep sending it to you. And these deals are just great. And the opportunities were so good. These houses were in such great position or location. If you could find the house, if you got a good investment property, getting the money is easy.
For
right?
sure.
So that's really what helped me, which was the compassion and taking care of others. It got me into real estate. Everyone's like, you need to flip houses, you need to do this, you need to that. And so I did it, right? So I was like, okay, had a great deal. I think, like, when I first said yes, I ended up with 3 deals, 3 flips. Like, I just, instead of pushing them out or ignoring them, hey, we're going to pay for them cash, we'll take them down, we'll close on them. The first 3 flips were absolutely successful, made money on all of them, didn't know what I was doing, don't have a great construction background, don't understand off market, don't understand wholesaling that well yet. And the whole industry was new to me, and I just embraced it. It came easy. It is not easy. It's just my talents lay with it, right? My talents overlay on top of it very well, which is doing hard things consistently and often, not giving in, not giving up when everybody else does, being able to take the loss, but also the failure, and realize it just made me better, because flipping is all about flopping. And you're not flipping houses, you're flipping money. Like, there's just some realizations where you understand you're not flipping the house. And once I could turn that around, that it had nothing to do with the house, but everything to do with, there's money on title, there's money in construction, there's money on the sales, there's money off of the acquisition, insurance. Like, it is just a holistic pond of revenue. And these are all the businesses that you touch anyway.
Right. And so are you on a mission to create multiple businesses that help support the whole process?
Yeah. So, and that's what I started to learn. You don't get rich off of flipping houses. Like, you just don't. Like, can you build wealth? It's a tool. It's a lever. So flipping houses and taking that money to invest in things that you really want to do gives you capital. So using your flip money as capital to force into the businesses that you want to create. Now you don't have the debt, you don't need the loans, you have cash flow, it works. So that's what I end up using it for, because it's just a transactional roller coaster, just like buying and selling homes. Mm-hmm. If you flip 10 homes a year and that's all you do, you're living off of that, right? And you're reinvesting it. Right. So you got to keep doing it every year. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you stop, the money stops. So taking that money and putting it into businesses that you want to own and having capital and things like that, I found is the best way to use flipping houses.
Right. Is that how you got into holding some as rentals?
No. So I was holding rentals, and we had a good conversation before, like, hey, I'll never do property management. That's one business, vertical I'm not touching. Rentals came from a tax advice. Like,
oh, cool. Yeah.
So me and my partner, I think we bought like 26 single families in 9 months. Like we were just like, because we're just getting after it. I would say I stay away from rentals a lot. It has to be a high appreciation on that asset and it has to be a great location. I'd rather buy one property or duplex this year and it appreciates 10 to 12%. I got it 50 cents on a dollar. I forced appreciation into it. Now it's worth, 7 figures and hold on to that. Then buy 20 single families and cash flow $100, $200.
Right.
And appreciation is inflation.
Right.
It zeroes out.
Right.
So once I learned that too, that's what I chase more. That's more my buy box.
Got it. Yeah, so very selective about what you're going to hold, and then you continue to do flips and continue to do the entire real estate brokerage side of things.
Right. It turned the flip business into a business, so I don't have to manage it.
Right.
And I don't have to run it.
Smart. Yeah. So, there's so many different angles I want to go here because it's very smart what you're doing and what you're building, right? So you're thinking like a business person. Mm-hmm. So a lot of investors, no shade or hate or anything. They're many of my friends, right? But they don't think like business people. And again, not everyone, but you're thinking like a business person. You're taking what could just be your job forever, and you're creating systems and processes and building teams using your leadership and your, what you've learned in the Army and elsewhere to create an actual business so that it can be repeatable and it can continue to operate without you or with minimal oversight that, whatever is important that you need to check, which eventually gets less and less over time because you have better and better and more experienced people on your team. So your initial goal was not just to be an agent, but to be the leader of agents and to kind of operate that system. Mm-hmm. And now you've started the investing world the past number of years and have been very successful. And now you're creating systems and processes for that system. And then you've co-founded a title company, which I assume you're doing the same thing there, Regal Title, mm-hmm. where you're setting up systems and processes for that company to run.
It doesn't need me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't need me. The verticals and creating systems and processes that replace you, that is the key to everything when it comes to business. And then you're just managing the business. And then the next step is actually what I just learned in probably the last 8 months is you actually now cut a business. I may be cutting flipping because the need for that is no longer there.
Because you have capital from other sources?
Those businesses now are profitable. You have better opportunity that requires less time, less risk, but the same cash flow. So why keep doing the high risk? Can be low reward, mm-hmm. and it's not sustainable. Flipping's not sustainable no more than running a team is in real estate. If you stop running your team, the team collapses.
Right.
Because you are it. And it puts systems and processes to replace you on a team is anointing a new leader.
Right.
And what you're just now saying is, tribe, this is your leader. And if that leader decides to go the tribe follows.
Right.
Flipping is the same way. People don't want to help me that much. They value the solutions I bring to the problems. So I'm the person when they call, they have a problem and I provide a solution. Pre-foreclosure, divorce, death, whatever it is. Mm. If I'm not there, you can't replace that.
Right.
If I pull myself out and somebody else comes in, they now have control over that business. Why would they make you money when they can now do it and you gave them all the resources?
Right.
So that's why I don't believe it's sustainable.
Right.
And you can't put somebody in there that wants a job because they just will look at it differently.
Right.
You got to do it Saturday, Sunday. You got to go all in. So that's the challenge with that. So verticals is where it's at, and then using the businesses and the relationships you created. for example, property management, something like that. And that now gives you more time and the wealth of freedom.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can use these things like flipping or things that aren't necessarily passive, right? Where that capital's gonna die whenever you stop doing it. You can use those to get off that ledge to get into recurring money or more passive income. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're in the process of doing.
Right. And I don't know if that's the last phase, is that what level that is?
Yeah.
But that's definitely just where I'm at. That's the pocket I'm
Yeah.
at. And, you know, it gets clearer when you clear out some of that time and now you got some businesses running. It kind of lets you know what the next step is.
I think at some point, or at least I like to think at some point, there's more of an enjoyment phase. Like, meaning there's a lot of grind and a lot of hard work and a lot of stress and a lot of liability and a lot of everything to build. And I think once you're transitioning from, I'll call it the less passive, the job phase, where like you got to create the next flip and you got to do all this stuff, right? Once you're transitioning from that to more passive, to more, the systems are built, things are operating, it's less of your time, it's less of your stress, less of your energy. I feel like there's got to be, I haven't reached it yet, there's got to be a point where you can just start enjoying it. Meaning, like, you could start doing passion projects, you could start really, like, maybe taking risks in things that you're passionate about, or things that give back to the community, or things that, you know, and I feel like I'm getting somewhat close to that, because my brain is starting to tell me that, like, we have a really strong team at Peak now. And there's other things that, like, hurdles we've gotten over and other things that we've accomplished with investments and other things like that, where I feel like I'm really, and I'm almost scared to say it, but I'm really close to that enjoyment phase, to where I could start doing things that I'm more passionate about, and more things that, you know, that I only have to work in if I want to work in, and things like that. And this podcast is part of that. Like, it allows some of the time to do it. But I think going through that transition of being less passive to more passive, and then there's some less, I think maybe people like me and you don't really care if we grind forever, but there's some, I don't know that we want to, that we want to have to, right? And so there's got to be some enjoyment phase that comes out of it, where you can still build, you can still grow, you can still accomplish, you can still make an impact, but you're actually enjoying it and you're not killing yourself over it.
So I think we've probably all had that conversation with ourselves, right? Socially, are we giving our families the attention they need? Are we giving our bodies the attention they need? Right. Do we have balance? Because everybody's like, you work too hard. You're doing too much. You know, what about this? What about your health? What about, you know, your retirement? What are you going to do when you retire? And we're not built that way. And we try to conform, kind of like when I was in special ed, I felt I was different. I'm still in special ed. Yeah, right. But now special ed pays. Right? So I've learned to embrace my special edness, you know, my special way I look at things and how I feel things.
It's a superpower.
Yes.
I mean, people kind of say that and it's kind of cliche, but I mean, I believe it. Look at some of the most impactful people in the world, like, something's different about them.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. Like, that's fine. We don't want to all be the same. Like, I went to one semester of college and dropped out because it terrified me that everyone else went to college. And it just didn't feel right for me. And I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. It just didn't feel like, how is that going to work? It's just going to be the same life that everyone has. And so, for better or worse, I dropped out of college. But it's cool that, like, you embrace that and you see that and you see, man, I'm different.
We're built.
And heck yeah, man.
And the talk about what you're feeling, and that we all have that feeling, which is the grind. And, you know, when do we stop? When do we call it? When do we get to enjoy what we built? And when is it enough? So when I look at my military time, the hardest times now forward were the most enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
Right. The hard stuff. Me, tired. Yeah. Me, we're bitching. We're complaining. Yeah. We're wore out. We're scared. Yeah. We're happy. Things didn't go right. Things went really, really wrong. Those are some of the best moments.
Yeah.
I really think we are enjoying it now. And it's okay for us to say we enjoy this hard shit.
Yeah.
We enjoy this tough stuff. And that's what makes us different. When I walked out of my first flip, I won't say his name. He is not anything. I just don't know if he wants. He is a very reputable real estate agent. Mm-hmm. And it was in Richmond, was on the north side. This is when the north side was popping. It was a good part of north side. So he has a nice 4-square home, renovated. He held it for a while, puts a sign out, got it. So, they're selling quick over there. And I happen to have this house on a corner, just did this renovation. Oh, gosh, it's a beautiful home. Probably $130,000 renovation. I mean, beautiful home. And we still walked away with, 6 figures, right? I come out, and he looks and he calls me over, as I start walking. He starts walking to me and he goes, "This is for you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, This is for you. Investing, flipping is for you. I was like, why do you say that? Because I never seen somebody walk out of a house so happy.
That's awesome.
After a flip.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Nobody walks out of a house. They're like, I don't want to do this. I'm glad this is over. I was like, heck yeah, let's get to the next one. And we can enjoy that suck. Like, I can't do property management. I don't like that grind, that response, that dealing with so many different people and characters and needs and desires and wants and things that don't go right, and then the people that manage that. I'm like, nah, I don't want none of that. But you got up this morning like, I'm going to do my podcast. Yeah, I'm walking into my office. Yeah. I'm going to see my people. I'm going to lead my tribe. And we're going to handle it. Yeah. That's for you. Yeah. You're enjoying it. We're in our enjoyment. Yeah. I think, when we stop doing it, we're sitting on a chair. We're sitting on a boat. Maybe you're sitting on a yacht and you're talking about the good days. Like, I remember I did a podcast and this guy said this craziness. We're in our moment.
Yeah.
Live our moment. We're in our moment. That's what I've come to. Yeah. It's hard, and it's hard sometimes to see we're enjoying it.
Yeah,
because we paid our dues today.
It's funny you mentioned that because about a month ago I was like, man, I almost feel too comfortable, even though there's so much going on. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many moves we're making, stuff that's very stressful. But I hadn't challenged myself in a while. Physically, so I just signed up for an ultra marathon. Okay. And my wife was like, "What? You haven't ran in 7 years?" And I'm like, "I know, that's why I signed up for an ultra." And she's like, "When is it?" "It's in 3 months." Mm-hmm. He's like, "Okay, wait. So not a 10K, half marathon, it's an ultra marathon." And I'm like, "Yeah, and it's in the mountains, and we have a time cutoff or whatever." And she's like, I mean, she knows me, so she's just like, "You're whatever, you're crazy," but like. It's that suffering that I want. I mean, just straight up, it is. Like, I feel like I learned so much through it. It makes me such a stronger person. I don't know that I'll be successful in it. And that's not the point. Yeah. The point is to go there and find where you're at and if you're successful, great, you've learned a lot. If you're not successful, you also realize you need to step it up. Like, you've learned something through that suffering. What I don't learn is when I get comfortable, and I hate it. And when I get too complacent or too comfortable in a sense of like a physical sense, or it's rarely ever these days in like a mental capacity. I'm always working my brain, but like the physical sense can get left behind because we're so busy at work or have all these things going on. And that's what I was feeling. And I was like, I need more suffering in that world because I'm losing my edge. And I don't want to, right?
Absolutely.
And I couldn't imagine, like, it sounds really nice to sit on a yacht for a day.
Right.
But like I could not imagine more than that. It just and again, it sounds crazy to say, but I just don't. It's just not something that I would rather see what sort of impact I can make for the teams that we lead, the communities that we serve, the residents, under our management. Like, what impact can we make on them? And I need to be working towards that, and that's what gives me fulfillment, not whatever money we make and whatever yacht I could sit on, which we wouldn't own a yacht anytime soon. But
you're enjoying your journey. Yeah. That's what I say. I think we're in our enjoyment. Like, you're doing that not just to feel the suck, but you're doing the marathon to build your resume of I can. Because we need more of that, because so much of society and people say we can't. Right. You've had to come from a place of I can't.
Right.
Because you couldn't be here without it. Mm-hmm. So you need some more of a I can, because you could keep going. That's the energy. That's the fuel for the logs for our fire. And whether you do or you don't, you did.
Right.
Our biggest regrets is probably not trying, but not trying.
Yep.
And that's why we're just a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
There's I used to, when I would speak in meetup groups, sometimes I would start with like, raise your hand if you could go run a marathon right now. And 3 people out of 30 would raise their hand. And I'd be like, unless you have a critical injury or health issue, all of you can. You just don't believe that you can. You absolutely could.
Give me more resume if I can, right?
And I'm just like, anyway, it like that. We can go off on a tangent there for a while. But so you also, I think, realize pretty clearly how important a network is in surrounding yourself with good people. You've invested in Grid Richmond and Grid Virginia Beach. Can you tell us about that community?
Yeah, so Grid is a global network for real estate investors and investors. So we come together. It's a free hour of just learning. So we have training already identified throughout the year for 12 months. And we invite everybody to come in, learn from industry experts. And then we do a networking at the end where everybody gets to meet and talk to everybody. And I would say the biggest thing about networking isn't the networking itself and doing a network, is learning how to leverage your network. That was one of my last skills recently that hone into is how do you work your network? Like, how do you use it? And I wasn't. I was just giving, and people in a room talking and communicate. All right, we did network. But that's not really it. A network is very influential, is very powerful. You have your phone, which holds your network, your CRM, and your database. And every problem I receive today, I will leverage my network, not myself. The who is all your who's. And I used to just try to do it all myself and figure it out myself and sit down with them at the table and try to work it, whether I'm fully understanding or not. Well, let's talk it out. Now it's like, it sounds like a CPA issue. Right. Right. Let me help you out right here. Yeah. You need a property manager. You're tired. You're a tired landlord. This is what you are. Right. You need to let some of this go. Yeah. Keep the easy, get rid of the hard. Right. Yeah. So, and then what happens is you provided value and connection and results for them. And they come back and say, hey, I got this deal. I got a person that I know that needs to sell their house, and this is what they need for it. Yeah. Are you interested in that? And it's like, okay,
That's the right way to do it too. I mean, you're adding all this value to your network, and then eventually it all comes around. And you don't expect it. Like, if you never hear from that person again, fine. You were able to help them, and you have fulfillment out of that. But yeah, that's absolutely, I think that's a great way
I do zero marketing dollars.
Yep.
Zero marketing dollars. The power of that leverage of the network financially when it comes to leads is, I couldn't put a number on it.
You have 4 root philosophies. Mm-hmm. Do you have them memorized?
No.
Okay. We'll talk about them.
In what area?
You have mission first, people always. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so that was more of just like a chat GPT. It's like, hey, tell me what I do and hey, what are my core philosophies? So every business we have it. But if you're really just talking about like, hey, Dustin, what are your keys and how you look at things? I'm actually ultra simple. Is just take care of others, be compassionate, kind, and care. I'm not here for me. I've been given all of this opportunity with you, real estate, because I'm supposed to help others. It's not about me. If it was, I wouldn't be here. And people are not going to see you for what you are or who you are, and you just keep giving. And I'm here because I've been given the opportunity to help others. And that's just what I do every given time.
You talk about vertical integration, which we've already covered pretty well. What about speed to scale? Success loves speed.
Yeah.
You have generational legacy as well. Not working for a paycheck, and we're working for freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've covered that pretty well too. Yeah. Those are some good philosophies to live by. I also like the speed to scale is big, and you can only do that if you leverage.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about that. So everything else we probably hit over this last 45 minutes because this is who we are, right? Or who I am when that came out. Speed to scale is a balance of being able to take a lot of challenges and understanding. I really believe in 10,000 hours. right? So I didn't. I used to gloat about it, but now I think about it, it's probably not a good thing to gloat or push. Is I didn't take a vacation for my first 3 or 4 years after transition. That's no leave, no 2 weeks here. I worked Saturdays and Sundays, and I did the grind. And the only reason I did that is because I knew I was starting from zero in the industry, and I needed the hours and the experience. So I just consistently worked. Getting that speed and scaling is just taking a level of risk that most just won't, and putting yourself out there to be exposed, putting yourself out there to fail, to be criticized, because you're going to fail a lot more. Yep. I failed a whole lot more than probably the average person that has a lot of those things. Mm-hmm. Somebody has a title company, probably doesn't touch it to year 15 or something like that. I started 2 years ago, so I was at year 4. Mm-hmm. The amount of failures and mistakes we made to get it right. Same thing with a team. Year 1, running a team. Oh my gosh, can you just imagine? An agent that just got the license telling 19 agents how to do an open house, how to sell a house. So speed to scale is getting over yourself. You want to lead, you want to do good. Can you help me? I'm going to make some mistakes, but I'm coming from a true intention. I have the desire. I have the work ethic. I'm going to show up even when you don't show up. And I'm going to be here to push this company and this organization.
Right.
I just need you to be a little graceful when I mess up.
Yep.
And we're going to fix it, and we're going to get better and better. And I'll fail for you. Right? You don't want to fail? Give me your idea.
Right.
I'll fail for you and then push it along.
Right.
So had to getting over yourself.
Yeah, humility.
Yeah.
Like just being humble, because again, like in my journey, it was hiring a bunch of people who knew more than I did. And I'm like, hey, look, I'm not going to know a lot of the stuff that you know. I understand I'm the business owner and the CEO. Mm-hmm. I wasn't a CEO at the time, but like I'm leading this team, but I'm going to, you're calling the shots on they have ownership, they have decision making, they have all these different things, within some sandbox. And it was just the humility. Like we had very similar conversations. I'm going to make all kinds of mistakes. Yeah. There are some things where I'm not going to know what I'm talking about, and I need you to call me out on it. Like, correct, let's do this together, right? And I think if you could sell the vision on whatever you're trying to create and whatever business as a leader, if you could sell the vision and then be humble enough to know that you don't know how to get there by yourself and you need a team to do it and you need to rely on that team to help you get there, that's where you find success.
Absolutely. The vision is everything, and everybody on every business or every vertical knows more than me. Which
is probably how it should be, right?
I'm the worst realtor on the team. I promise. Like, I'm not the best real estate agent because I running all these businesses.
Right.
I'm not going to be the best realtor. I'm not the best settlement agent. I'm not the best contractor. I'm not the best flipper. Right. I'm not the best holder, burr.
Right.
Just, Yeah, but I got a lot of people that are better than me.
Yeah, like I've had clients ask me, like, Steven, what is your, something about like our eviction process or something like that, like currently, like what, and I'm like, hey, I can get you to the people that are doing that on our team that do it every single day, that refine the process. And some, I've had a client get upset that I wasn't the person who was readily available to answer that question. Of course, I know like the general laws and what we like, understand all that, but the exact process in our touch points, I think we have 19 something touch points in the first month that a tenant doesn't pay, and within the first 30 days of non-payment. And so anyway, the idea is that because I was a CEO, I needed to know every nuance of and I'm like, no, I have experts on my team that handle that hundreds of times every single, month or whatever it is,
And if you did, you wouldn't be here.
We would be in much worse shape.
You would be in much because those systems and processes were there to replace you.
Right.
And, the tenant's not going to understand that concept, but that's why they're in place. Yep. And those are the conversations I get frustrated having,
Yeah. We built a strong team for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't think people would want me in the weeds and everything. We have much better people to do that. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out or?
Yeah, we talked about that. So I don't know my handles or any of that stuff. But I have a very unique name in real estate, and it's Dustin Olverson. And if you just pop that into Google, Facebook, or anything, just my first and last name, it'll automatically take you to all the handles, websites, pages, all that great stuff, grid, videos, it just automatically, because there's not another. I haven't ran into another Dustin Olverson, not in the United States Army, not in real estate.
Yeah.
Like the name, yes, but the combination of the two, no.
Right.
So I think that's kind of easy.
Just that we called him out a little bit in the beginning, but do you want to call out or list any of your companies that for people to go check out?
No, not at all. If it works, it works. If you're watching this and you're interested and you want to network, you want to meet and talk, reach out. I do respond back. I'm not big on that. I was definitely here to give.
Yeah.
You're a great host. It's a great YouTube channel, and the questions were great. And I think if we just helped one person and they got something from this conversation, we won.
Selfishly, I really enjoyed, I really enjoy the conversation. I mean, I learned a lot listening to you and learned a lot about you and your background. And I think we could all take something away from your experience. I appreciate you coming on the podcast and sharing your journey. And I look forward to tracking and following your success over the years, and really appreciate you and what you're doing for our community.
That was great, man.
Thanks, man.